Okay, you know that feeling, right? You wake up, you just had this absolutely wild dream. Flying, maybe, or
Hmm.
talking to someone unexpected, and it feels so real for like a second, then poof, it just vanishes. So frustrating. And you're probably asking yourself, why don't I ever remember my dreams?
Yeah, it's a really common experience, almost universal.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we dug into the source material, quite a few articles, some research summaries,
Mhm.
to really try and understand the science behind why dreams are so elusive. And maybe more importantly, what the experts say you might actually be able to do about it.
What the strategies are, yeah.
Because look, we all dream, so let's figure out why remembering them is, well, such a challenge sometimes. Okay, so let's unpack the why first. The sources, they give some pretty compelling reasons these like amazing nightly shows just disappear. It seems to start with when we have the most vivid dreams.
Right. That happens mostly during REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. But here's the fascinating part, and it comes up a lot in these sources.
Huh.
How memory actually works during REM is different.
Different how?
Well, your brain isn't really in save mode, like when you're awake. The hippocampus, which is, super important for making new memories stick.
Right, the brain's save button.
Exactly. It actually becomes much less active during REM sleep. Significantly so.
So it's not just that we're like distracted, the actual recording machinery is sort of offline.
Pretty much. It's not optimized for storing that kind of fluid, often bizarre dream content. Some theories we looked at even suggest the brain might be actively working to forget during REM.
Actively forgetting, wow.
Yeah, there's mention of specific neurons linked to MCH signals, potentially part of a system to clear out temporary or maybe irrelevant information.
Irrelevant, but they can feel so incredibly important or real in the moment.
They absolutely do. But think about it from the brain's perspective waking up. Its main job, then, is consolidating what happened in the real world. Dreams, unless they carry a really strong emotional punch or connect to something deeply personal that maybe lights up a memory areas.
Like the DLPFC mentioned in some studies.
Exactly, areas involved in waking focus.
Yeah.
Unless that happens, dreams often get filtered out. It's like default processing.
Okay, so beyond what's happening inside the brain chemically, what other roadblocks do the sources point to?
Oh, a big one is simply how you wake up.
Okay.
If your alarm rips you out of deep, non-REM sleep, any dream you had earlier in a REM cycle is probably long gone, much harder to grab onto.
Makes sense.
And then there's general sleep quality. Stress, poor sleep habits, certain medications, sleep disorders. Anything that messes with your REM cycles or your natural waking process can definitely reduce recall. Even things like lower levels of norepinephrine during REM sleep. That chemical might play a role in why consolidation is tricky then.
And is it true, like the research suggests, that some people are just naturally better at remembering?
It seems so. Some studies indicate that people who remember dreams more often actually have more brief awakenings during the night.
Ah, so they might be catching the dream closer to the surface.
Potentially, yes. Even if they don't fully remember waking up, those little moments might provide a window to snag a fragment before it fades completely.
Right. Okay, so understanding why we forget is one thing. But what if you actually want to remember more? What practical steps do the sources recommend? What's like the classic advice?
Almost universally, it's keeping a dream journal and keeping it literally right by your bed.
Okay.
The instant you wake up, even if it's the middle of the night, before you move, before you think about the day, just try to recall anything, an image, a feeling, a weird word, whatever it is, jot it down immediately.
So you're basically training your brain, signaling that this stuff matters.
Exactly. You're training your recall muscle, telling your brain to prioritize grabbing that information as you surface from sleep.
What else did the sources suggest trying? Any other techniques?
Setting an intention before sleep came up quite a bit. It sounds simple, but consciously telling yourself, tonight I will remember my dreams, can apparently make a difference.
Interesting. Like priming the pump.
Sort of. And, of course, prioritizing good, consistent sleep hygiene. More quality sleep generally means more REM sleep.
Right.
And maybe limiting things like bright screens or caffeine right before bed. Anything that improves overall sleep quality could potentially boost recall, too.
And I think I saw something about sharing them. Does talking about dreams help?
It can, yeah.
Yeah.
If you manage to grab even a tiny fragment, telling someone about it soon after waking can sometimes help solidify that memory or even trigger you to remember a little bit more.
Okay, so the big picture here, the main takeaway from all this material, is that not remembering your dreams is totally normal. It doesn't mean you're not having them.
Absolutely. It's a natural brain process,
Yeah.
deeply tied to our sleep cycles, brain chemistry, and even just our daily habits and how we wake.
And understanding why you forget, like how the brain filters things during REM or how waking abruptly affects it.
That understanding really empowers you to try these strategies effectively. You're working with your brain's natural processes, not just fighting against them.
It really shows how incredibly active and complex the brain is, even when we're completely out of it, asleep.
Definitely.
It does raise a pretty interesting final thought, doesn't it? If our brain is so quick, almost designed to let go of this incredibly rich, imaginative dream world,
Hmm.
what does that imply about the information it chooses to keep from your waking life? What is your brain deciding is important enough to file away every single day?
Yeah, what makes the cut?
Something to maybe mull over
Mm.
until our next deep dive.